संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते So, we have come a long way in our discussion of the yoga philosophy, which is same as Indian psychology, because in Patanjali's Yoga Sutra we find philosophy as well as a very detailed discussion of psychology also. So of course this is just an introduction, as you know. So we have spent a lot of time discussing the nature of the mind. I think we had 6 or 7 discussions. Then we discussed some basic concepts of yoga, like whether yoga is a science or not. Then we came to the 8 limbs of yoga, that is the Ashtanga yoga as it is called. We started with some basic concepts, then we discussed yam, niyam, and then asana, pranayam, and last time we discussed very important pratyahara. Today is the final, we are reaching the climax, so to say, of Ashtanga yoga. So after pratyahara comes Dharana, after Dharana comes Dhyana, after Dhyana comes Samadhi. So these 3, of course we will not go into detailed discussion because Dhyana meditation itself requires many discussions. So since this is just an introduction, we will try to discuss the definitions only of what these 3 mean: Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. But first of all, let us recapitulate a little what we had discussed last time. So I'll just share the summing up. Those who are here, they can already see it is on the screen. So the basic concepts of pratyahara, just to revise, we have seen that no perception can occur if the mind is not joined to our organs. Eyes, ears, nose, etc. These are the external instruments. The organs are behind the brain centers. And the ability to detach the mind from the organs or attach it to only one organ at will is called pratyahara, or gathering towards, gathering inwards. When we gather our consciousness, so to say, inwards, the mind, when we gather it inwards so that it does not go out through the organs. So the indriyas or organs of the senses are always acting outwards and coming in contact with external objects. Bringing them under the control of the will is what is called pratyahara. So pratyahara means gathering towards, means checking the outgoing powers of the mind, freeing it from the thraldom of the senses. If this is not done, then the mind will continue to go out only. The senses will order it, it will go out. We will have no control at all. And the aim of spiritual life is to go inwards, not outwards. Our nature takes it outwards. We have to reverse it. So if pratyahara is not practiced, the mind will always be a slave to the senses and freedom will be impossible. So it stands to reason that success in pratyahara is not possible till we continue to search after sense pleasures. Eating this, eating that, seeing this, seeing that, going there, here and there. If we are addicted to this, if we cannot do without this, then pratyahara is impossible, and unfortunately spiritual life is also impossible. So checking these tendencies and searching within is what is needed. That is what pratyahara is all about. It prepares the ground. So now from pratyahara we are going slowly deeper and deeper, learning how to develop more self-control, gain mastery over ourselves. It starts from the very beginning, yam niyam. Yam niyam is nothing but gaining control, not doing anything we like, going wherever we like, mixing with anybody we like. No. Yam niyam puts a restraint, and slowly we have to be more and more centralized, as that is the only way we can one day become free. Centralized means center our minds on the real self, because our enemies are not inside us, are not outside us, they are inside us. That which is keeping us bound is inside us. There is nobody outside who is binding us. So till we don't revolt against those enemies, till we don't start fighting, then there is no chance of gaining victory. So what are those enemies? The enemies are our sense organs which are attached to external objects. This attachment has to be broken. Sense organs don't have to be destroyed. If we break the attachment, then automatically the organs will come under our control. So we are continually at the beck and call of these organs, as Swami Vivekananda puts it. Now we have to break this control. That is the thing. Then the mind will become free of the domination of the senses. So last time we could not discuss much because there was no time and this was a difficult topic. So just two things are very necessary to end this pratyahara topic. That we had discussed what is pratyahara, but the means to adopt, we had not gone into detail. So two things we have to remember if we want to succeed even a little in pratyahara. That first, we have to be indifferent to the objects of sense, taste, etc. Seeing, touching, tasting. Currently we are living for that. Our whole life is that. Just examine. If we really sit quietly and find that what is attracting us, what is making life worth living, it is that. Going to the mall, seeing this, that, purchasing this, that, thinking what we will eat today, tomorrow, day after, where we will go on this summer, that summer. That is our life. And unfortunately, this is not conducive to spiritual life. Now we have to go in the opposite direction. So this is the first thing. And this will be possible when we start living in the world of thought more than the world of objects. We have to see what is going on in the mind. We are always busy with what is going on outside. We have news of all over the world, Russia, China, Japan, everywhere. But we don't know what is going on inside, which is our real field of inquiry. So everybody says, teach us meditation, how to meditate. There's a first question. Where is meditation? If these things continue to attract us and we continue to do them without any control, then there is no question of meditation. Absolutely out of the question. That is why this is a graded thing. These 8 steps are graded. It doesn't start from dhyana, because dhyana is far away, meditation is far away. Without this kind of control being practiced, meditation is out of the question. So, we have to remember this, that even starting spiritual life will not be possible if you don't start practicing self-control right from the beginning. So now Pratyahara, we have a general idea. Now definition of Dharana, which comes after Pratyahara. So now see what is the situation now for one who is fit for practicing Dharana. What is his mental condition? Just imagine. First of all, through Yama and Niyama, he has become a perfectly moral person. He cannot even think of telling a lie or stealing or taking others' things. He cannot even think of those things. So Yama Niyama has made him a very, very good citizen, perfectly moral person. And after that, he has made his body, at least his body is under control. When he sits for asana, he can sit for a long time. Then after that, what he has gained? He has gained some control of prana, of the energy within him through pranayama. So yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. After that, he has also started pratyahara, means he has started the control of his organs, means he is trying to give up the enjoyment of the sense pleasures. He is not looking at this and that. His mind is becoming slowly one-pointed. He is not allowing the senses to take him wherever they like. After he has reached that state, he can even think of practicing dharana. Now what is dharana? Dharana is now dealing directly with the mind. This starts. From dharana we start dealing with the mind, because by this time the mind has come under a little control. Previously it was not. We were doing whatever you like, etc., etc. No question of control. But slowly through yam, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahara, we have gained a little control of the mind. So we can now think of dealing with the mind directly. Now what do we do in dharana? Dharana is holding the mind to certain points. Now we can start thinking, doing that. That yes, my senses are not wild. They are not taking me whenever they like. Now I can deal with the mind. So how do we start? We start very slowly. Immediately if we try, it will not be possible, because the mind is still very, very strong and it is still acting very much against us. So just like we, when a child, is a very naughty child, so simply forcing him and beating him won't help at that time. He is very naughty. So slowly cajoling him. Okay, you don't want to study. Okay, today study for 5 minutes. Then 10 minutes. Okay, now you leave your television for maybe 1 hour. Try to study a little. Slowly increasing. So here also what we are doing in Dharana, now we are stepping into that. So this is trying to hold the mind to certain points. Because if we try meditation, we will not succeed at that time. So certain the points that can be outside as well as inside. Outside the body as well as inside. So, for example, forcing the mind to feel certain parts of the body. Like sit with our eyes closed, try to feel only our hand. Try to feel the sensations only from our hand, or from our feet or legs, or any other part. Try to feel the hand or legs, etc. So what are we doing? The mind we are confining to this place. Suppose we are trying to only gain sensations from the hand. What are we doing? The mind is now confined only to this place. Then another place if you want to think of another part of the body. So this dharana can also be done on external objects. Any object which we want, we can also concentrate on that, try to think only of that object. But naturally, our aim is to go inside, so we should start with inside of the body, going inside. So generally what some points are mentioned which are particularly suitable, like Swami Vivekananda says, for instance, the mind should be made to think of one point in the heart. But if we just try to think of any point, it is very difficult. So how do they try to draw the attention there? An easier way is to imagine a lotus there. A lotus is there, and after that those who have a chosen deity, they also think that God is inside sitting in the lotus. That lotus is full of light, effulgent light. Or we can think that the lotus is in the brain and that it is full of light. So these are various centers. So this is Dharana. Now for the exact definition, in the Yoga Sutras it is given. As I have told you, each and everything is defined. In Indian psychology, philosophy, there is nothing left which is nothing left to our imagination. Each and everything is defined in extreme detail. So, Deshabandha Chittasya Dharana. This is the Sanskrit definition. This means Dharana is holding the mind on to some particular object. Simple meaning. So when the mind holds on to some object either in the body or outside the body and keeps itself in that state, that is called Dharana. So for those who are interested in Sanskrit, it is said, Yatra deshe dhyeyam chintaniyam tatra chittasya sthapanam. Simple. Yatra deshe, whichever place, which is dhyeyam, which is supposed to be meditated upon. Chintaniyam, which is supposed to be thought of. Tatra, there, chittasya sthapanam, putting the mind there. Bas. If you want to think of a place in the heart, putting our mind there. If you want to think of some object outside, putting the mind there. So, yatra deshe dhyeyam chintaniyam tatra chittasya sthapanam tad ekagryam. Ekagra is concentration. Tatra ekagra means concentrating there. Dharana ityartha. Iti artha means that is the meaning of dharana. So whichever place is to be concentrated or thought about, the steadying of the mind or oneness of the mind with reference to that place is called dharana. And some places has been mentioned by Swamiji, that heart, head, etc. So these are special places where the manifestation of the reality is more. So how is it described? That the king lives in a palace. He also goes out in the city, etc. So he's everywhere in the kingdom, he goes. But the throne of the king is his special position. See how these people have described so that it can be clear in our mind. So although king can go anywhere in the kingdom, but when he sits on the throne, he really looks like a king, and that is his special seat. Then everybody bows down, yeah. So similarly, although the reality permeates everything, but in our body there are some places which it is specially manifest, like the heart and the head. So we are generally told to meditate on those places, in those places. So this is dharana. As I've already said, that we will just go into definitions only. This is just an introduction. So now when the mind has succeeded to some extent, for example, if we find that yes, when we are sitting quietly and trying to feel some point in the heart or just a hand or leg, suppose we find that yes, every 30 seconds or so, we find maybe that 10 seconds the mind is receiving only the sensation from that place. At other points, of course, it will be going here and there. So when we have progressed in Dharana, then we can try for the next step, go for the next step. What is that? That is Dhyana. Dhyana or meditation. Now, what is the definition of meditation? I'll just show you. Just share the image. So here you can see when this it is not there. Anyway, I'll just call out so you can adjust what is it in there. So in the definition of Dhyana in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, it is Tatra Pratyaya Ektanata Dhyanam. Now here there are a few words here which need a little translation. So first is Ektanata, that is continuous. In Bengali there is a word called Aktana. Aktana actually comes from this Ektanata, Sanskrit, continuous. And Pratyaya. Pratyaya means knowledge. So what happens in Dhyana? In Dharana, the mind was sometimes being able to concentrate where we would like it to concentrate, but it was again moving away. Then again we will bring it back, again it will go away. But when we have succeeded in Dhyana, what is the culmination of Dhyana? When there is the continuous flow, there is no interruption. The mind, when once put in some place, it only receives sensation from that place only. Then when we have achieved that, that is called meditation. That state is called the state of Dhyana. And when a person can do it at will, he can simply put the mind wherever he likes and the mind just sticks there, so to say. It does not move without his will. Then he has attained perfection in Dhyana. That is an extremely, extremely high state. So, Sri Ramakrishna used to say that Naren, that is Swami Vivekananda, from his birth, he was perfect in meditation. From his very birth. So, that is why he could become a teacher of men. Otherwise, if he had to start from the beginning, then how could he teach others? So that's why Sri Ramakrishna had brought these persons who had already finished all this, so that they were in a position to teach others, having gained perfection themselves. So what is Dhyana? Dhyana is achieved when knowledge flows continuously towards the object on which we want to concentrate. In simple language, that is the definition of Dhyana. So, in Sanskrit it is said, it is written below, you can see, and the translation is also given below of the commentary. So, Tasmin Deshe Dhyeya Alambanasya Pratyayasya Ektanata Sadrisha pravaha pratyaya antarena aparamrishto. That is Dhyanam. So, what is the difference between Dharana and Dhyanam? Dharana, some other thoughts will interrupt. Pratyaya antarena, it is disturbed by different pratyaya, means different kinds of knowledge. Suppose I am trying to think of the heart, my mind goes to my head. So different kinds of knowledge are interrupting. But here what is the definition of dhyana? Pratyaya antarena aparamrishto, means by a different kind of knowledge, it is not interrupted. It continuously goes where? Tasmin deshe, where we want it to go, in that region. And there the knowledge is ektanata, that is continuous knowledge. There is no interruption at all. So you can see the English translation below. I will read it out. Meditation is a continuous flow of knowledge which has as its support the object of meditation, that upon which we want to meditate. And the kind of knowledge is absolutely similar, untouched by any other kind of knowledge. That is the thing. This is the difference between Dharana and Dhyana. So, how has Swamiji explained this? I will just read from his Raja Yoga. The mind tries to think of one object, to hold itself to one particular spot. For example, the top of the head, heart, etc. And if the mind succeeds in receiving sensations only through that part of the body and through no other part, that state, if the mind can keep that state, in dharana we succeed, but maybe for a few moments, not more than that. But when the mind succeeds in keeping that state for a long time, that state is called dhyana. So actually dharana leads to dhyana. Dharana means what? Maybe 10 seconds. So maybe 3, 5, 7 seconds we could keep the mind there. On the 3rd second, 5th second, 7th second. Other times the mind was elsewhere. So that is dharana. But from 1 to 10, when the mind doesn't move from that object at all, and it can be kept there for a long time, that is called dhyana. So dhyana is achieved by a continuous practice of dharana. The mental modifications in dhyana relating to that object are continuous. It is unbroken flow. The mind is continuously going to that object and that object alone. It is absolutely stationed there. It cannot move until the meditator himself desires. That is the thing. So again, to distinguish this, a wonderful example is given. The flow of knowledge in dharana can be compared to a succession of similar drops of water. We have that dropper, so we fill it with water and then press, keep on pressing 1, 2, 3. So what happens? One by one the drop is falling, drops are falling, but between that there is a gap. There is an air gap. 1, 2, 3, 4 we can see. If dharana can be compared to this, then what is dhyana? Dhyana is like, and when we pour oil from one vessel to another. Now, purposely oil is told, not water. Why? Because in water there may be air bubbles. How deep they have gone, you see.
The rivers.
Rivers, there is a gap. Waves are there, air bubbles may be there. When we pour air, it is a common experience. When we pour water from a great distance on top, what happens? There is effervescence sort of. Means what? Air is there, no? But not in oil. There is no interruption. So how beautifully they have explained so that we can have a extremely good idea of the difference in Dharana and Dhyana. So like the flow of oil or honey, so that is the implication of the word continuous. So when knowledge is continuous, it appears as a single idea present in the mind. Because the same wave is rising again, going again, rising the same wave. So it appears as one. What happens when we see a fan? If the fan is traveling at very high speed, we don't see the blades. Just one mass we see. It is because the blades are absolutely same and they are evolving. The same thing is happening again and again. Similarly, here also, the mind has only one type of knowledge there. That is the thing. So, how much control one must have over the mind? We cannot even think of anything for maybe a fraction of a second. The mind will go here and there and all. So, slowly, through years and years of discipline and denying ourselves those external objects for which we are running night and day, the mind slowly gathers inwards. Slowly, may years and years and years of practice. Then, when it has reached this stage, the state of Dhyana, when it has been achieved, then one can say that one has gained control over the mind. So in that state, the Dhyana the mind is very much cut off from the sense organs. The meditator has gained such power that if he concentrates the mind inside or even outside, his senses are outside that purview. They cannot enter there. So in Swami Vivekananda's life, we have read that when he was a child, mind you, he was a child, when he used to meditate, he would lose all outer consciousness. Then one day, when he was meditating, a snake had come inside the room. He was with his friends. A snake had entered. So all the friends got up shouting, snake, snake. But he could not hear anything. Then maybe they had to shake him or something, do something so that he comes out of that meditative state. And last time we have seen that once, even concentrating on outside objects, when he was reading a book of Charles Dickens in a devotee's house, he was called many times, he did not hear. His mind is completely in the book. That is why just one or two readings he could memorize pages and pages and pages. So that is the power of concentration, which has to be achieved before one can succeed in meditation. So when we are very eager to meditate and all that, let us remember where we are. That is the thing. So, Pratyahara will enable us, give us the necessary fitness to attempt Dharana. Otherwise, it is impossible. Many people are there, you will find, they cannot even sit quietly for 10 minutes. It is impossible. They will start moving their hand or legs, looking here, looking there. Why? Because this type of discipline has not come. So if that poor fellow is told You try to put your mind somewhere. He says, I cannot even keep still while you are asking me to put the mind somewhere. It is impossible. Because his senses are continuously attracting him outside. There is no control absolutely. So without pratyahara, we cannot even gain the fitness for practicing dharana. And without practicing dharana, we cannot approach dhyana, because dhyana is just an extension of dharana. Okay? So dharana culminates in dhyana. And finally what happens? Dhyana culminates in samadhi. So what is samadhi now? We will just see the definition. I will just quote the Sanskrit and then we will see the translation. We will see from two viewpoints. Swami Vivekananda has also translated this in one way, but that is a little complex, so we will see, and both are correct, of course. Another translation we will take the help of. So the original aphorism regarding samadhi is Tadeva Artha Matra Nirbhasam. Artha means meaning. Matra means only that. Nirbhasam means it shines forth. Tadeva Artha Matra Nirbhasam Swarupa Shunyam. Shunya means devoid of. Devoid of any swarupa, any other thought also. So swarupa shunyamiva samadhi. So what is samadhi? When artha matra nirbhasam, only the essence, the meaning shines forth without any swarupa, without even any other thought of the self also. That is called samadhi. So Swami Vivekananda about samadhi, he says that when dhyana has risen to such a high state that when giving up all forms, our mind reflects only on the meaning, on the essence of that object, that is called samadhi. So samadhi comes when in meditation the form or the external part of something is given up. Suppose I was meditating on a book, and that I have gradually succeeded in concentrating the mind on it, and concentrating the mind on it to such an extent that when I perceive only the internal sensations, which is the meaning, which is unexpressed in any form, that state of dhyana is called samadhi. So this is a little difficult to understand. So in easier language, there is another translation by a very great yogi. So he says, when the object of meditation only shines forth in the mind, as though devoid of the thought of even our own self, that state is called samadhi or concentration. So dhyana becomes so deep that only the object on which we are meditating, that remains, obliterating all traces of reflective thought also. So to explain, in meditation, in the state of dhyana, in the state of meditation, there are three things. First, the person who is meditating, he is called dhyatri in Sanskrit. and the thing on which he is meditating. That is called Dhyaya, and the process of meditation. That is called Dhyana. So this is the triad, that when I am meditating, I am separate and the process of meditation is separate, and the object on whom I am meditating is separate. So all knowledge is traveling from me to that object. So three things are there. Dhyatri, the person who is meditating, Dhyaya, on which he is meditating, and Dhyana means the process of meditation. Now, when meditation is full of the object meditated upon, when dhyana or meditation becomes so intense that nothing but the object meditated upon is present, it is called samadhi. When we even forget our own existence, when the dhyatri, the meditator, he forgets his own existence also, only the object of meditation remains. When he becomes one with that, that is called samadhi, which is the ultimate goal of yoga. So the mind is then full of the nature of the object meditated upon. That is the thing. In other words, the nature of the process of meditation means I am meditating. Aham idam chintaniyam ityeva pratyaya akara vritti anudayat. Udaya means origin. Anudaya means even that is not originating. What is not originating? Aham idam chintaniyam. I am meditating. That also is gone. So in dhyana, what happens? A person feels that I am meditating upon that object. But in samadhi, this I also goes. Only the object of meditation remains. So meditation which loses consciousness of the self also is called samadhi. In plain language, when in the process of meditating, consciousness of the self seems to disappear and only the object meditated upon appears to exist, when the self is completely forgotten and the difference between the self and the object is also gone, because there is no self. Such concentration of the mind on the object is called samadhi. So samadhi is also various kinds, like one samadhi which is called in Vedanta, it is called savikalpa, when that object remains, and the highest type is called nirvikalpa, when all forms are gone, everything when the mind goes completely beyond the relative existence. That one thing which was there for the mind to hold on to, that also the mind transcends. Like when Totapuri was trying to give Sri Ramakrishna Nirvikalpa Samadhi, what did he say? Thakur, what did he say first? That I could easily gather the mind from outside, no problem. But that form of Divine Mother would not go away. That Savikalpa Samadhi. He would lose himself, but he would lose himself in the Divine Mother. She was still there. That object was there. But when his mind even transcended that thought wave also was gone, then he went completely beyond the mind itself. So all the names, forms, etc. are only within the mind. When one goes beyond the mind, one goes beyond relative existence. So in Vedanta it is called Savikalpa and Nirvikalpa, and the equivalent we can say in yoga is called Sampragyata and Asampragyata. So pragya means knowledge. Sampragya means with knowledge. And asampragya means without knowledge. So when we see the meaning with knowledge and without knowledge, we will think with knowledge must be higher. But actually, asampragyata is higher than sampragyata. Sampragyata with knowledge means what? Knowledge of that object upon which we are meditating. That knowledge is there because that object remains. But if there is neither someone who knows nor there is any object to be known, then how can knowledge exist? Knowledge means what? One thing will know another thing. That is knowledge, no? I know a book. So book is different, I am different. But if neither the book nor I remain, can there be any knowledge? Who will know what? So that is called asampragyata, which can be said to be similar to Vedanta's Nirvikalpa. Because there is nothing which I am meditating upon and I also am gone. So how can knowledge, as knowledge we know in common parlance, how can knowledge exist? Who will know what?
It's called Brahma.
You can call it whatever you like. Yogis will not call it Brahma, they will call it Purusha. But it's the same thing, whatever name you give. The Vedantists call that Brahman, ultimate reality. So these are the two broad types of Samadhi. So this is the thing. This is the 8 limbs of yoga discussed in brief. Of course, Pratyahara we had gone into great detail because these are mostly ignored. We don't understand the importance, that is the thing. So yes, I want to meditate, I am very eager to meditate. But if you tell that person before meditation you have to stop going to cinemas, my friend, you have to stop eating pizzas and burgers whenever you like. Oh, that meditation I don't want. I want meditation when I can also have all these, then I want to meditate. But then you cannot have meditation. Yeah. So it is impossible. So that is the problem. So these things, because we say, that's why nobody comes to our classes. That is all. That is the main thing. Yeah. So we should say that, yes, do this as you can do that and do this also. No problem. Enjoy as much as you like. Then also you can go into Samadhi. So if you teach that thing, you will get many, many followers. But that is not true. That is misleading. It can never happen. One person had one of our here in Vancouver only. He had sent me a link. That what does that link try to prove? What does that? I did not open it also. So he told me, Swamiji, if you read this, they will show that Samadhi can also be achieved through external means. One need not do anything. Some mechanism they will give and someone will achieve Samadhi. So I did not open that link. I just replied to him, okay, very good. let them give one example. Then I will try to read what he has written. Let them give one example of such type of thing. It can never happen. It is impossible. So people, all of us, we are reluctant to give up. But till we give up lower things, how can we get higher things? In every field. It is not only true for this life. If a student says he will night and day sit before the television, how can he do well in exams? It is not possible. He cannot be in two places at the same time. So the mind cannot be at two places at the same time. If the mind is continuously dwelling on the sense plane, how can it go higher? It cannot go higher. That shackle, that bondage of the senses has to be broken. At least the attempt should be there. Only the attempt should, when it is there, sincere attempt, then the mind can think of practicing dharana. Then over the years he can gradually try to meditate. Not before that. So that is the thing. So let us end here for today. I think you've had enough.